They want drama, come see us, man. Come right here, man. We be right out here. If you want drama with us, we right here, son.
Whoa. QB,
Never
baby.
stop. The war's on 24/7. Make no mistakes.
That I'm taking it there, man. Ran in the studio with 9 guns, two shotguns, no slapped a few cats up.
This other kid over here, they pistol whipped him.
Sent the home naked and all that.
Kicked the shit out of him.
Showed them how we do this, man. We ain't playing no games.
Mobb Deep was never the type to duck smoke. Their track record spoke loud. Bar after bar, they called out rivals without flinching, turning diss tracks into street warnings. Every verse felt personal, every beat hit like payback. But one man wasn't playing that rap back and forth game. True life moved by a different code, and it showed.
He treated me like I was some funny style nigga. I tried to holler, he played games. So I had to wake him up, let him know what I was about, you know what I mean?
He wasn't here for lyrical wars or clever punchlines. He wanted real smoke. So when his world collided with Mobb Deep's, things got ugly fast. Real fast. This clash was always meant to explode. Mobb Deep and True Life came from opposite corners of the same city. Two different breeds of power. Mobb Deep had that earned respect, street legend weight, and years of credibility. True Life, the wild newcomer. Unpredictable, dangerous, and ready to test anyone calling themselves real. When they finally crossed paths, it was old-school royalty facing off with a fearless up-and-comer, and neither side planned to fold. Mobb Deep, the iconic duo of Prodigy and Havoc, stood as pillars of 90s New York hip-hop. They built the gritty sound that defined the city, that raw, unfiltered energy straight from the blocks. Prodigy, born Albert Johnson, and Havoc, real name Kejuan Muchita, came together as Mobb Deep in 1990, repping Queens to the core. But their story didn't start there. It began at the Manhattan High School of Art and Design. Two 15-year-old kids with talent sharp enough to cut through concrete met in a place that demanded creativity to even step inside. Havoc joined in 1988, and from there, history started writing itself.
You know, I met him through a mutual friend in high school. You know what I mean? I got to the high school before him, the High School of Art and Design in Manhattan. You know what I mean? Then my junior year, he came in.
Not long after, Prodigy followed, and that move set the stage for hip-hop history to unfold. Before they were the legendary Mobb Deep, they went by Poetical Prophets, two hungry teens from Queens, short in height but towering in drive. Their verses painted raw pictures of survival, smoke-filled nights, and the cold rhythm of street life. What they lacked in size, they replaced with grind and an unshakable hunger for respect. These two weren't waiting on luck or some industry favor. They hunted it down themselves. Their rise was all hustle. They pressed their own demo tapes, then hit the streets, pulling up outside record labels they'd memorized from the backs of rap CDs. Picture them outside Def Jam or Loud Records. Eyes sharp, hearts racing, hoping someone inside might give them 5 minutes and a listen. That kind of persistence doesn't fade. And eventually, it paid off in ways even they couldn't have imagined.
Q-Tip, man, like brought us into the Def Jam office and started introducing us to people, and that's when we started going to a lot of industry functions, a lot of parties and meeting other people.
How they were waiting outside Def Jam's building, fate walked by in the form of Q-Tip from a tribe called Quest. Unlike everyone else, he didn't just breeze past. He stopped, listened, and caught the hunger dripping from every bar. He felt something real and decided to bring them inside. Q-Tip introduced them to the right people, cracked open doors that had always been locked, and became both mentor and guide. He even helped them shape their classic breakthrough album, The Infamous, the project that stamped that dark, haunting New York sound into hip-hop forever. But Mobb Deep's real edge ran deeper than beats or studio magic. It came from their roots. Queensbridge Houses, the biggest project in America, was carved into their DNA.
The opportunity was there because my father was a DJ, you know what I mean? So he used to have a lot of old records around, you know, laying around. And then when I met Prodigy, you know what I'm saying? His grandfather was a jazz musician.
Queensbridge wasn't just a block, it was a city inside a city. Havoc came straight out of that maze, raised on rhythm and chaos. His father, once a DJ and artist, left behind nothing but a crate of vinyl when he disappeared. But Havoc turned that pain into purpose, chopping those same records into dark, moody beats that defined Mobb Deep's signature sound. Their music didn't just talk about the streets, it was the streets. Every line felt like cracked concrete and cold stairwells. Prodigy's pen carried that rare magic, the kind that could pull you into his world in the first few bars. His opening lines didn't just start songs, they started scenes. You'd stop mid-conversation just to catch what he said next, because every word meant something.
And them too, because they've been talking a lot of shit. I got them. I got songs to them. I got this song called When We Ride on Our Enemies. You barely living. Don't you got sickle cell? See me have a seizure on stage. You ain't living well. Hell, how many want to be involved? See, I was only talking to Biggie, but I'll kill all of y'all.
Beyond the beats, Prodigy never filtered his truth. He spoke from the gut. That raw honesty gave Mobb Deep their edge, but it also brought heat their way. Their image was built on being untouchable. Two soldiers ready for war, moving with confidence, fearlessness, and zero patience for disrespect. That energy fueled their rise and powered tense run-ins with giants like Tupac and Jay-Z. But pride cuts both ways. They started believing their legend made them untouchable until they crossed paths with True Life. True Life wasn't impressed by fame or history. Born Roberto Guzman Rosado Jr. on March 19, 1976, he came out of Manhattan's Lower East Side, one of New York's roughest corners. Raised in the Smith houses, survival wasn't just mindset, it was rule. Back then, the LES was chaos. Poverty deep, drug spots everywhere, cops stopping whoever they pleased. The crack era made every block a battlefield. But even in that madness, True Life stood out. People said he was the face of the Smith houses, the one who truly put his hood on the map. The LES wasn't Brooklyn or the Bronx. It had its own sound, its own pride, and True Life was its voice. By 1999, he jumped into the rap game, landing a deal with DreamWorks Records. On paper, it looked major. Real label, real budget, and a real shot to prove he wasn't just another name from the projects.
I'm a free agent right now, but that's only, by choice. And really, that's just because Jay freaked me up out my contract when he left Def Jam. I didn't want to stay on Def Jam without, you understand what I'm saying?
His debut, Crying Out Loud, was supposed to drop in 2001. Instead, DreamWorks shelved it before it even breathed. Word was, the label wasn't ready to push black artists, and to True Life, that felt like pure disrespect. The move cut deep, and he stepped out the spotlight, quiet, patient, watching for another shot. That second chance came through none other than Jay-Z. True Life linked with Hav and signed under Rock La Familia, a branch of Rockefeller built to spotlight raw, global street talent. According to True Life, he even asked Jay personally to free him from his old Def Jam contract. Jay saw something real, that raw street fire you can't fake. When he introduced True Life on a mixtape, he made it clear this was the truth. A rapper who didn't play politics or hide behind image. He lived every word he rapped. True Life's reputation spoke loud. Unpredictable, fearless, and proud of his LS roots. He wasn't chasing charts or approval. People might forget his lyrics, but never his presence. He was more feared than loved, and he wore that like armor. Drama followed him everywhere. Jim Jones, Cameron, Hellrell, the whole Dipset crew. Nobody was off limits. He lived by his own code, not the industry's. Didn't fake it, didn't bow down. Mornings started with fruity pebbles and a pour of rosé, his breakfast of champions. A symbol that he made it his way, flashy, reckless, and real. So when Prodigy and Mobb Deep brushed him off, it hit harder than disrespect. It felt like a betrayal of the very code they both claimed to live by.
Mobb Deep incident, man, we did a record together, me, Prodigy, and Cool G Rap, you know what I'm saying? And we had a little buzz going with the record, and then played itself and spit the verse on another record, you know what I'm saying? Guess he wasn't that talented, and when it spit the verse on another record when we paid him for that verse already, so we ended up getting to a little controversy.
Rapped about loyalty and street honor, but to True Life. Their actions told a different story. This wasn't some rap battle born from disses or slick bars. The beef between Mobb Deep and True Life started over business, the kind that cuts deeper than words. Back in the late 90s, True Life was still on the come-up, grinding for his spot in a city full of legends. To boost his name, he reached out to Prodigy for a feature, a verse meant to stand beside the iconic Cool G Rap on a track called When You're a Thug. For True Life, this was supposed to be the move that shifted everything. He paid for the verse, expecting exclusivity, his record, his rollout, his moment. But then, Prodigy made the one mistake you don't make in this game. After delivering the verse, he reused that exact same one on another track, Never Going Back, which landed on the Any Given Sunday movie soundtrack. The issue? That soundtrack dropped first, blasting the verse to millions before True Life's own version ever saw daylight. What was supposed to be a career move turned into a spark, one that lit up one of the most personal and dangerous rap feuds New York had ever seen.
Made the phone call. I made more than one phone call. I was calling these kids for over a month, 2 months. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling everybody. I'm calling their manager. I got my manager calling. I got this one calling, that one calling. And you know, they was just showing me no respect.
Just like that, True Life's track was dead in the water. The verse that was supposed to lift his name ended up buried before it ever surfaced. To make it worse, those same lyrics were about ambition, struggle, and survival. A cruel bit of irony after what went down. For Prodigy, it probably wasn't even personal. But for True Life, it cut deep. Pride doesn't take betrayal lightly.
He treated me like I was some funny style. I tried to holler, he played games. So I had to wake him up, let him know what I was about, you know what I mean?
The movie deal came with a bigger check and wider reach. Maybe 5, 10 times what True Life had paid. In Prodigy's eyes, it was just business. But to True Life, it was a straight slap in the face. He'd put his money, energy, and name behind that song, and now Prodigy's move made him look small, like he never mattered at all. That's where the respect line got crossed. True Life didn't just feel played, he felt humiliated. And in the LES, humiliation isn't something you just walk off. At first, he tried to handle it cool, like a man. He called Prodigy, reached out to his manager, tried to settle things fair, maybe get a refund, maybe a new verse, just something to make it right. But weeks went by with nothing. No callbacks, no apologies, not even a word. And in True Life's world, silence means something. To him, it was Mobb Deep saying he wasn't even worth their time. That quiet disrespect built up slow, until it wasn't quiet anymore. He finally snapped. If they wouldn't pick up the phone, he'd pull up in person. True Life wanted to remind Prodigy that not everybody moves by industry rules. Some still live by street codes. What started as a business misstep turned into something way more personal. True Life made it clear. He wasn't chasing clout, he was chasing respect. And from that moment on, the story stopped being about music and started being about consequences.
We ended up taking it there, man. Ran in the studio with 9 guns, two shotguns.
Running with Uzis and shotguns and guns.
You know, slapped a few cats up.
This other kid over here, they pistol whipped him.
Sent the home naked and all that.
Deep thought they were dealing with just another rapper chasing clout. They didn't realize they were up against someone who didn't care about fame, hits, or cameras. Someone who had no problem taking things way past music. Once True Life made that decision, there was no rewinding it. One night, he and his crew mapped out what would become one of the wildest retaliations in New York rap history. They weren't planning a diss or a public stunt. They were coming straight for Mobb Deep's pride. The target? Their Manhattan recording studio, the same spot where their team kicked it, laughed, and made records. True Life gathered his people, locked in, and made it clear this wasn't a bluff. According to his own account, his crew rolled in deep and fully loaded, ready to make their point loud and clear. The streets were about to feel the echo.
They didn't even look at me. They didn't even look at Jizza. You know what I mean?
A few of your favorite rappers was in there. You know what I mean? At gunpoint with guns to their face and shit. But it ain't nothing, you know what I'm saying? There wasn't no drama with.
They stormed the studio strapped. Handguns, shotguns, even automatics, turning the night into something straight out of a crime flick. Only this wasn't Hollywood. This was real life, raw and uncut. Inside were members of the infamous Mobb, Prodigy and Havoc's closest circle, completely unaware that danger was already walking up the stairs. And here's the twist. When all hell broke loose, neither Prodigy nor Havoc were even there. The ones caught in the chaos were their people, producers, homies, and day one affiliates. Names like The Alchemist, Malik, The Hitman, and others from their tight circle ended up paying the price for a beef they didn't start. When True Life's crew kicked in that door, the place exploded. It wasn't some robbery or random scuffle. It was calculated psychological warfare. They pistol whipped a few, stripped them down, and sent them out into the street with nothing but shock in their eyes. It wasn't about money. It was about message and humiliation.
The incident with us and him?
Yeah,
all right,
we're not
all
even
right.
gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
That's totally out the whole tape. You gotta erase that part.
It was a statement. True Life wanted to prove he wasn't just talking tough. He wanted everyone to know he could reach deep into Mobb Deep's camp whenever he chose. In his own words, this was to show them how we do this. That kind of message came with real consequences. And that night, everyone in that building felt it. In the middle of the chaos, a gun went off, One shot that turned the air electric and froze every heartbeat in the room. But what made the whole thing even crazier was who didn't get touched. Two major names, GZA from Wu-Tang Clan and DJ Muggs from Cypress Hill, just happened to be in that studio that night. Yet True Life's crew didn't lay a finger on them. That's how you knew this wasn't random mayhem. It was surgical, deliberate. They came for specific people with a specific purpose. GZA and Muggs walked out untouched, though Muggs later brushed off the story, clearly uneasy when asked about it. But it was too late. The damage was already done. The streets were awake, the whispers turned to noise, and by the next sunrise, the whole city was talking. Mobb Deep's name was in every mouth, but not for music this time.
Part of being a man is learning how to swallow your pride. And I guess that's one time that I slipped, and men make mistakes. You know, we're human beings. And I slipped and I made a mistake, and I didn't swallow my pride that time. My pride got to me, and it was too big. I kind of almost choked on it.
The same duo known for rapping about danger and street warfare had just been hit with real-life violence. No beats, no cameras, just chaos. Mobb Deep's crew had been stripped of everything, physically and mentally. It was the kind of humiliation that shakes even the hardest reputations. For Mobb Deep, the aftermath was messy. They didn't want to fuel the fire or give True Life any more shine, so they stayed silent, deadly silent. In interviews and even in the Beef documentary, Prodigy refused to talk about it, brushing the topic off completely, even asking to have that part cut out. That silence became their shield. Ignoring it was their way to strip the moment of power, to deny True Life a win in the public eye. But behind closed doors, the sting was real. Even though neither Prodigy nor Havoc were in that studio, they felt the weight. Because it wasn't just their friends who got touched. It was their image, their name, their legacy. In hip-hop, image is everything. And when your team gets caught slipping, that stain doesn't wash off easy. Over time, Havoc slid subliminal lines into verses, talk of cloud killers and shots in the air, quiet reminders that Queensbridge pride was still breathing. Prodigy, though, kept his cold silent. No disses, no response, just distance. That was his way of moving forward. As for True Life, even though he technically won that street battle, the victory didn't taste sweet. The chaos came with a cost. Later, he admitted he regretted how far things went. That pride had driven the whole situation off the rails. Looking back, he said he should have dropped a diss track instead of storming a studio. The truth hit him later. They weren't gangsters. They were rappers caught in a moment that spun out of control. Still, that night became legendary, a dark reminder of how thin the line between rap and reality really was. The fallout went far beyond True Life himself. Anyone tied to him started catching heat, especially Brooklyn rapper Saigon, his right-hand man and brother in arms. The two were inseparable, but in hip-hop, loyalty has a price. Just being next to True Life made Saigon a target. Mobb Deep's people didn't care who did what. To them, Saigon was guilty by association. And truthfully, he wasn't sitting on the sidelines. He was part of that same wild energy keeping the conflict alive. Saigon even admitted later he was there when True Life and his crew burned piles of Mobb Deep CDs on camera, calling their music trash. That scene captured the chaos of that era, ego, pride, and the danger of taking things too far. What True Life and Saigon were doing back then was like an early form of trolling before social media even existed. Wild footage, jewelry flashing, clowning rappers straight to DVD. It was how you sent a message back then. No tweets, no posts, just straight up disrespect on disc. But even Saigon later admitted, loyalty ran deep, but logic whispered that they'd already gone too far.
Instagram, no Twitter, just raw street marketing and disrespect on disc. But even as things got hotter, Saigon tried to play both sides. Loyalty to his brother True Life, but logic telling him this was going too far.
Jimmy Neutron, you try to say this piece don't exist? There's only one who do this. Step the diamond game up, man. You're not balling. It look better on cameras. I'm seeing it right there. Look, put it again. It look better on camera. Garbage.
Saigon didn't want to turn on his friend, but the tension was heavy. Mobb Deep's camp was watching every move he made, and soon it was clear, staying neutral wasn't an option. Saigon later admitted he felt pressured to play along because backing down would make him look weak. At one point, he even joked that maybe True Life took Mobb Deep's lyrics too literally, like he turned those bars into a street challenge. But the joke didn't last long. Because things got real fast, It all came to a head at New York's iconic SOBs in 2007. Saigon showed up thinking it was just music. Mobb Deep headlining, no bad blood. The crowd was live, the energy right, until it wasn't. A DJ hyped him to perform his single, but the second he hit the stage, he noticed familiar faces creeping through the crowd. By the end of his verse, the air was thick. As soon as he stepped off stage, chaos erupted, fists flying, threats flying louder. Saigon got grabbed, pressed, and one man even flashed a gun, warning it could end right there. Outnumbered or not, Saigon stood tall, ready to go out fighting if he had to. That night nearly changed everything. Later, he admitted the fallout hit harder than any punch. Just being tied to True Life cost him fans and opportunities, even getting blacklisted from places like Hot 97. When he finally sat down with Havoc years later, Saigon admitted loyalty might have been the real reason his career stalled. He was lucky, he said, just to walk out of that club alive. Meanwhile, True Life's image had shifted from rapper to menace. The studio raid had already made him a name people feared. He wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was the streets. That unpredictability became his power, and he leaned into it fully. Soon, his attention turned toward Dipset, Harlem's powerhouse crew led by Cam'ron and Jim Jones. After Jim mocked True Life's single The New New York, things got personal fast. True Life clapped back hard, dropping a mixtape called True York, a full-on lyrical assault meant to humiliate the entire Dipset movement. Then the streets lit up with rumors, stories of robberies, confrontations, and even claims that True Life snatched Jim Jones's chain. Whether true or not, one thing was certain. True Life had become the most unpredictable name in New York hip-hop. The stories only fueled his legend. Some said he chased Joel Santana through the city. Others swore he slapped Cam'ron, and by then, it didn't matter if it was fact or myth. His rep for violating rappers became part of his identity. Then, to top it off, he dropped an image of Jim Jones in a Borat-style mankini. Pure humiliation turned into street art. True Life wasn't just trolling. He was rewriting what rap beef looked like.
Him being my brother, they pretty much used that against me. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that my brother really couldn't go to trial, so to get me to cop out to something, they really cared about me. The whole time they cared about me.
Jim Jones bulletproof vests during a street beef, calling it pure irony since Jim later turned against him. Every move True Life made was calculated to prove one thing. He wasn't part of the rap illusion. He was a real street figure in a world full of actors pretending to be tough. And the wild part, he made it look glamorous. True Life carried himself with loud swagger that fans couldn't ignore. He famously called himself the prettiest gangster and lived it to the fullest. The man would literally eat Fruity Pebbles with rosé instead of milk, saying it tastes like success. That kind of flex made people talk. So when Jay-Z's Rock La Familia signed him, it looked like True Life was finally leveling up from feared street legend to certified rap star. But behind the scenes, things were messy. Insiders whispered that Jay didn't just sign him for his bars. He wanted a soldier, someone bold enough to take aim at Dipset during the Harlem feud. True Life's rap career was always tangled in violence, the same thing that made him both magnetic and dangerous. Even with fame rising, the chaos never stopped. His name stayed hot, but not for music. In the end, True Life's legacy wasn't built on hits. It was built on chaos. He was one of the last rappers who truly lived what he rapped, for better or worse. But that same energy that made him untouchable also became his curse. The streets that once crowned him eventually came to collect, trapping him between fame, loyalty, and cold reality. By June 2009, that reality came crashing in. One heated night in a Manhattan nightclub turned tragic fast. A simple argument that spiraled into chaos no one saw coming.
He told me he was a good person too, and we just had a genuine conversation. He told me he was sorry. He told me he knew how he messed.
Tension spilled into the street. Then the lobby of an East 26th Street apartment. And that's where everything went too far. Inside, the Rosado brothers chased two men, 20-year-old Christopher Guerrero and 30-year-old Jason Gray. What happened next was brutal. Guerrero was stabbed in the stomach, Gray slashed so deep it hit an artery. Guerrero didn't make it. He died there, leaving his family shattered. His brother, Jason Ramirez, later said Christopher was unarmed and defenseless, and that justice never came. For True Life, it was rock bottom, the collapse of everything he'd built. The man once feared in New York's rap scene was suddenly facing life behind bars. The charges were heavy: murder, assault, gang involvement, each carrying decades if convicted. As the trial neared, True Life made the hardest call of his life, agreeing to a plea deal for gang assault in exchange for a reduced sentence. His brother Marcus took full responsibility, pleading guilty to manslaughter in 2011. True Life got 8 years. Marcus got 10. In court, their lawyers said it was a night of rage, not malice. But in the eyes of the law, intent didn't matter. The moment was irreversible. For True Life, it was where fame, pride, and street loyalty collided. And everything he'd stood for came crashing down. Both brothers showed remorse, sending condolences to Guerrero's family and hoping accountability might offer peace, even if nothing could fix the loss. But True Life later said the story wasn't as simple as it seemed. He claimed he took the plea not out of guilt, but survival, because deep down he knew if he fought the system and lost, he'd be gone forever, facing life behind bars. True Life made the only move left: take the deal, do the time, and live to tell his truth later. Prison became his turning point, forcing him to slow down and finally face himself. The wild, reckless True Life from the DVDs was gone. Behind those walls, he found silence, time, and reflection. He dove into education and faith, rebuilding his mind from scratch. Days turned into lessons, lessons into growth. Over time, he earned 2 degrees, one in business, one in biblical studies. For the first time, he found peace in a place built to destroy it. He called prison the most negative place in the world, but instead of letting it break him, he used faith to survive. Spiritual growth helped him release anger, stay calm, and hold on to himself through the years. When he finally walked out of those gates in April 2016, 5 years into an 8-year sentence, True Life was different. The revenge, the street pride had all gone. He'd lost too many friends, too much time, too many chances. Now he wanted peace, real peace. The pain of his past had taught him that not every battle needs to be fought. Then fate pulled off something no one saw coming. True Life came face to face with Prodigy. Both older, wiser, and scarred by their own battles, Prodigy was still fighting sickle cell. True Life was rebuilding his life from zero. Their beef had once gone far beyond music, but time has a way of humbling men. Their reunion wasn't random. It was arranged by former NBA star Metta World Peace, who grew up in Queensbridge, Mobb Deep's home turf. He played mediator, setting up a private sit-down that turned into something deeper than anyone expected. True Life later shared that when Prodigy walked in, there was no ego, just honesty. Both admitted their mistakes, talked it out like men, face to face, no cameras, no noise. They apologized, buried the past, and walked away with real respect, closing a chapter that had haunted New York for years. True Life said that moment meant everything. It proved Prodigy had truly grown and found peace within himself. And in that same moment, True Life found his own. When they made peace public, Prodigy posted a photo of them side by side. No tension, no ego, just respect. His caption was simple but powerful, welcoming True Life home and sending out good energy. That one post said it all. 2 men who once traded humiliation and violence now stood as proof that even the deepest rivalries can end in understanding. True Life later said he was grateful for it, because no matter what went down, he always respected Prodigy as one of the greatest MCs of his generation. But less than a year later, heartbreak struck. In June 2017, the hip-hop world woke up to devastating news. Prodigy had passed away while on tour in Las Vegas. He'd been performing with Art of Rap when complications from his lifelong sickle cell anemia took his life. The same disease he'd battled since childhood finally caught up to him. His death sent shockwaves through hip-hop, a heavy reminder of how fragile life really is. For True Life, the loss hit deep. It wasn't just another artist gone. It was a man he'd finally made peace with after years of chaos. He said that moment made him realize how short everything truly is. The same guy who once stormed studios and lived reckless had now seen too much to ever go back. Pain, prison, loss. They all changed him. Through it all, True Life came out wiser, calmer, and grounded. He found clarity in struggle, redemption in silence, and peace in forgiveness. That's what makes his story unforgettable. It's not just about violence or fame. It's about growth, faith, and second chances. If you made it this far, show some love. Hit subscribe, like this video, and drop your thoughts below. Tell us what you think about true life's journey and how real redemption hits different when it comes from the heart.